Honestly, the secret to finding your photography style can be one thing or it can be many.
No, I went tonight. Went to get my coffee in the morning, went to down there.
Each of us as photographers are individuals, therefore very unique. So whether you're shooting nature, portraits, abstracts, etc., you're going to focus on different things for different genres of photography. A perfect example of this was in the summer of 2023 when I visited Brook Green Gardens in South Carolina. We originally booked some tickets to see the night light show that lights up the botanical garden, but at the same time, I wanted to arrive early and walk the grounds and see the perimeter of this beautiful garden area. And at the same time, this is a perfect way to better find my photography style. The gardens were absolutely beautiful, and as I rolled up to my first composition, what struck me first was the beautiful light that was shining through the trees, the moss hanging from the trees, the gentle area that surrounded a part of the pond or lake that was kind of almost like an inlet coming into this area and then jetting out, obviously, to the main part of the channel. Sometimes scenes can be very overwhelming and busy, and I don't generally do well with these. So what I first focused on was getting a sun star through the trees and make that my focal point of this whole image, but I also wanted to include some of the brush that was in the front of the foreground. So what I ended up doing is cropping in on the image a little bit so you could see some of that brush in the foreground, but also the sun star was prominent, poking through the trees in the background. And I just overall, the image is still a little on the messy side, but I enjoy the image. It's not something that's necessarily going to go into my portfolio. However, it's these kinds of shots that lay the groundwork for building your photography style. So what I also did here, because I love panos, I shot myself a 3-shot pano. So I moved on, and only a few steps down the path, I found a very similar scene with the sun peeking through the trees and the moss having that glow effect because of the sun kind of penetrating through it. And of course, the water shimmering because of that sunlight, just about to head into sunset here. And don't let the video fool you. The camera was really HDRing and really picking up all the light, but I didn't have that much light coming through those trees. And it was a little bit more similar to the dark nature of the image that I'm showing on the screen now, but I was also testing my editing skills here and playing with a little bit more of a darker scene. So really, it was acting as borders out to the edge of that light and edge of that sun because I really wanted to focus down the middle of this image. So again, this all leads into how you compose the shot and playing with light here. And that's what also contributes to your photography style is the role of light and how it plays in your scene, and also how you compose the shot. If you move things left or right, or you want this kind of square image, or do you want a 4x5 or a 16x9 or something similar to that, I think it's very important to play with these formats and these ratios so then you can decide on what you really like, because if you never do it, how are you going to know if you like it? So shoot a lot of different styles, or just crop in afterwards in post and see what you like, and actually let it breathe and live in that format for a while, and then come back to it if you need to expand it or again crop it in. You can do so. I was off again, and I saw a little bridge that led out to an overlook over the Brook Green Creek. I definitely wanted to get a reflection off of this water, and the sun was quickly going down, so I know I was losing some light here. So I decided to shoot another pano left to right. I was really trying to find my composition here at the end of this overlook, but as you can see in a second, I'm going to end up moving back a little bit and finding my way to a different spot on this little overlook so I could get a better angle on the sun so it wasn't too blinding, and so it was kind of being obscured by the trees a little bit. But ultimately, I'm really happy with this shot. It's a shot that shows off the shadows of the trees on the right side of the frame, and on the left side of the frame, there's a nice golden, sparkly glow on the trees on the left side of the bank, and the water is fairly still. We didn't have a lot of wind, if any, and it would have been very welcomed as this evening was in the upper 80s at the time of the shooting, and it was very humid, probably 80 to 85% humidity, so it was quite humid out there. But nonetheless, I felt the shot had a lot of things going for it in terms of light and composition. I can't tell you enough how beautiful this walk was around the periphery of this garden, and the path was just phenomenal. And sometimes it's just very hard to shoot green on green on green. So I turned my camera along this pathway opposite the sun, where there was still a lot of light that was hanging on into this low hanging brush. And ultimately, again, there was a lot going on there. So what I did was I cropped into a 1-to-1 ratio. So what I decided to do was focus on these flowering buds as a foreground interest and let that kind of lead us out into the image. And again, turned out okay. I don't know that I got this one 100% right, but again, it's an image that allows you to work on your photography style. Some of your best photographic moments are going to come to you by sheer luck and chance, but the majority of them are going to come down to patience and persistence. So remember that patience and persistence and enjoying the process is going to be a major part of your photography routine. Here I'm walking up on the path to these interesting wood features. I don't know if it was some type of bridge. Maybe if you guys know what these are, you can tell me in the comments down below. There's some type of structure that I have no idea what these things are, but as you can see, I don't even know how to explain them. Sometimes just documentation is an important part of the journey, and in this case, that's all this image is, but I'll remember this shot, and at some point, I'll figure out what these things are, but maybe you can tell me down in the comments below. I don't think I filmed this, but as I was walking, I came to a fork in the road, and I just liked the symmetry of this image. Again, it's not the perfect image, it's not going to win any awards, but for me, it felt really nice because, again, the sun looked really nice against the brush and the trees, and just the symmetry of it from left to right. I loved this decision-making type of thing, left or right, and ultimately it was just a shot that I had to take. I liked the clouds in the sky, the color of the sky, so everything was kind of just working out. It was a beautiful summer afternoon, and I was really just enjoying myself. Another secret to finding your photography style is to learn from your environment, whether you're in a cityscape, whether you're in a countryside, whether you're on a mountainside. It really doesn't matter. Something might catch your eye. You should definitely shoot it, because you never know if it's a good shot, it's a bad shot until you shoot it. You might see it with your eyes. A lot of times we see peripherally from left to right and everything in between. It's gorgeous, but sometimes we don't have the right lens on, or sometimes we have too much lens on. It all depends on what you're trying to focus on. So just shoot the shots. In fact, right now, as I'm walking up to this kind of rock or boulder type bench, I see the sun off to the left. I see the creek in front of me. The scene looks spectacular to my eyes, but ultimately I decided to shoot a vertical composition here, totally eliminated the light on the left. I feel like the shot fell a little flat, but at the time I thought this could be a really good composition, and I think it still could have been. Perhaps I should have composed the image and included the sun, but I didn't, and that was a choice that I made at the time, and sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. You don't get to win them all. In fact, in photography, you don't win most of them, but sometimes you just come across an image that you just love. As I continued down the pathway, I definitely found my favorite spot of the early evening, and I really tried to mix light and composition here. I went more for the very warm and dark tones on this image, both in edit, in post, and in composing this shot. I really embraced the darks, and I just loved every part of this little area, as you will see here in my shots. So as I just mentioned, I wanted to embrace the warm tones in these set of images here at the end, and really embrace also maybe underexposing a tad, or embracing the dark tones, if you will. And then also in conjunction with all that, I wanted to play with softness, because the light was so soft at this time. I just felt like it felt almost like a surreal image in terms of the sky looking super beautiful. It was a beautiful night, and this is what I felt there on the shoot as I started to shoot these images. As I told you, this was my favorite location and also my final location as I was losing light. I definitely embraced the darkness. So my first shot is a pano, which was probably the lightest shot of them all. And then I progressively shot a couple more shots, really embracing the darkness and almost, I would say, dark minimalist, if you will. I just wanted the light to peek through in the areas in this scene, as you can see. As I headed back to meet up with my family and join them for the Botanical Garden light show, as you can see, there's some beautiful lights already starting to pop up. There is a couple other images I just wanted to show you here. They were shot a little bit earlier when we had a little bit of light left and the sun was still up. But these shots are, again, shots that are opportunistic, and you should be opportunistic as a photographer when you're learning your photography style. And it might take a lifetime to learn what your photography style is. I love shooting all sorts of genres. I love shooting portraits and landscapes and macro photography and light trails and star photography. So as you can see, I'm all over the place. And so it's gonna take a while for me. But if you lock in and you know you're a landscape photographer, then find that niche and go with it. It really is okay to experiment in different genres, but it's also okay to just stick with one thing that you know that you really love. That is the secret, is to fall in love with photography and continue to improve on it daily and often. So I wish you the best of luck. Improve your photography. These are the secrets to finding your photographic style.